Hello. Welcome back to the Perfectly Imperfect podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Minnie, and thank you so much for tuning into this episode, spending some time with me today. I feel like it's been a while since I don't know, maybe I feel like I've been opening every episode like that recently. That just goes to show the inconsistency of my life right now. So I so appreciate you all bearing with me as I'm in this phase of feels like chaos right now. I have been all over the place mentally and physically. Physically, I was in Puerto Rico end of March, and then I went to San Diego for a work trip, and this is my first week back. I'm now recording this on the Thursday. I got back on last Saturday night, so this has been like my first week back. Very much a catch-up week. Anxiety has been so high. Like, I just haven't been able to do anything. I've been staying up way too late. I've just had so many thoughts at once that it's like paralyzing me to just do nothing and feel nothing. So yeah, it has not been my week for sure. And just thank goodness that it's Friday tomorrow, because I just need this week to be over. I have had so many wonderful moments this week though, and on Sunday I went to this event and I met some new friends and some new women and made some new connections. So it's been a very like social and uplifting week, but equally so low. So it's been like so confusing and conflicting. I just want to like feel like myself again so that I can like actually fully enjoy those friendships and connections and wherever they take me. But I had therapy today, and that was much needed. I'm wearing these glasses because one, I have a headache, and if you're not watching this podcast, I'm wearing blue light glasses. I fortunately don't have the need for real glasses. So anyway, I'm wearing these blue light glasses today. New look, cozy new look today for the podcast. It's also 9 p.m. when I'm recording this. I have been working on my computer actually for like the entire evening ever since I got back from therapy. And I started getting a headache. So I put on these blue light glasses, and then I just suddenly had the urge to record a podcast. And I was like, wait, I kind of missed that. And I think going to therapy just kind of really brought back to life my desire to create and be creative. And so I just spent the last like 3 hours updating my graphic design portfolio, and I think it looks so good. I did a whole page for like content creation as well. So I got to like put little videos of my podcast, and then I shared all my like branding and graphic design work. Not to like self-plug, but if you are in need of any branding or graphic design work, I am officially doing that freelance on the side of my main 9-to-5 job. So if you or anyone are a new business owner or just needing some extra help with branding or graphic design stuff, let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram. I also have my design Instagram account in my bio on my Instagram at jenny.minnie. So that is just a very side note, but something that's been really filling my cup and bringing me so much joy lately. So I did that this evening, and then now I'm just kind of riding this creative wave and recording this episode here. So that has been my Thursday evening. I hope you're all having a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, whatever day, whenever you're listening to this. But today's episode, I wanted to do sort of like a big sister chat. I have been seeing these style of YouTube videos, style of podcast episodes everywhere, and I just wanted to hop on and join in because I love this style. I mean, it's sort of like a Q&A, but with more of like a focus, like as if you're asking your big sister for advice. I personally don't have a big sister, so these are maybe some things that maybe I'm telling to my younger self in a way, and maybe that I needed to hear when I was younger, but I didn't hear because I didn't have a big sister. So I hope this is helpful, and I think we'll just get right into it. Thanks again for being here. I'm sending so much love. And again, thank you for bearing with me with my inconsistency and sort of lack of showing up. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have noticed that I'm not as present. It's just because, yeah, it's not been my week, and I'm not still struggling with how to show up when I'm not feeling my best, like in my real life, like outside of social media. I struggle to kind of know how to show up and in what way to show up. I kind of tend to isolate, and that's now become isolating myself from social media as well. So I'm just kind of trying to figure that out. I really want to find the joy in this again, the joy in content creation. And the last thing I want to do is force myself to do anything because one, that doesn't feel good to me. And two, that doesn't help you all. And I feel like it's putting out inauthentic content, which is just fully against my morals and values with social media. I always want to put things out that I'm proud of and that I feel can either help or inspire. And I just haven't been feeling that lately. So I'm giving myself as much grace and patience as I can. And so, yeah, thank you all for the support with that. So without further ado, let's get into your questions that you would ask a big sister. First question is, what is the biggest lesson you've learned post-grad? So I graduated in May 2023 from Northeastern University in Boston. And I would say the biggest lesson, this is so cliche, but the biggest lesson I've learned is probably that things don't turn out how you imagine they will. Like at all. Maybe sometimes, but most of the time, no. And I think the major lesson from this is to learn to be okay that things won't work out the way you envision them to. And that was something I feel like I'm still actively learning, but I'm miles ahead than where I was when I freshly graduated college. I feel like I had so many visions, so many dreams, so many, ideas of what I wanted my life to look like, especially moving to New York. And as much as I'm so happy with my life and I am content, there are still parts of it that I'm like, oh, this just doesn't look or feel like I thought it would. And for myself, kind of being the perfectionist that I am, I tend to latch onto that and think that that's wrong and bad and that I need to fix it and make it quote unquote perfect. But I'm learning that that's not the way to fully enjoy life and live presently. And that leaning into the idea that it's actually okay for it to not turn out the way I was thinking and for it to just be a little bit different and feel a little bit different. That just means I'm human. That just means I'm being present. Before you even graduate college, I don't know where this person's at in their education who asked this question, but if you're a senior in college, if you are near graduation, just kind of mentally start preparing yourself. Like, it's okay and it's great to have goals and visions for what you want your life to look like, where you want to live, maybe what your friend circles or your relationship looks like, but just prepare yourself as well for the option that it doesn't look like that at all. And it looks completely different. And try your best to not beat yourself up or view it as negative or view it as bad or view yourself as a failure. These are all things that I have fallen victim to and kind of fell into this trap. And I'm actively working myself out of it, working my way out of that and trying to reframe my mindsets. And so while a lot of elements of my life don't look exactly like I envisioned they would be when I graduated college, learning to accept that and learning to be okay with that and actually just appreciating what I do have instead of fixating on all the things that don't match up is just so precious. And I feel like it's just the way to enjoy life. Things will come at you unexpectedly all the time. And I feel like if we're constantly pushing that away or our anxiety or our perfectionism is trying to mentally prepare for that all the time and try to avoid that all the time, at least that's what my brain's been doing. I feel like just had to fix my SIM card real quick. My camera ran out of space. But I was saying that I feel like when we are constantly trying to prepare or we aren't open to the idea that something doesn't work out how we want it to or how we envision it to, and we let that perfectionism, we let that anxiety overtake an experience. In my experience, it's just made it harder to be present and enjoy that phase, that experience, that part of my life. It doesn't come naturally to just let go and let it pan out and happen how it's going to happen. That doesn't feel natural at all. Every part of me wants to grip, every part of me wants to have control over what happens to me and what happens to my life. But I'm learning that letting go is honestly the best way to build self-trust and trusting in yourself, not in your environments and the people around you. I mean, you can trust in the people around you, but, don't become reliant on the environments and the things around you to make you happy and to make those ideas of what you thought your life would look like come to your reality. You just have to trust that you will carry yourself and you will have and hold yourself through whatever life throws at you. And so that's something I am majorly working on personally. And yeah, I would say that's my biggest lesson, is to just try not to fixate on how life will go, what job you'll have, what city you'll move to, what friends you'll have, what relationship you'll have, because none of that is determined and none of that can be pre-planned or, known for sure. I'm not saying don't make a plan at all. I think it's definitely a good idea to ask yourself what you like and what values you have, what types of jobs you want, and, what's important to you. Is it important for you to stay near family? Is it important for you to have a circle of friends? Or are you comfortable with going to a whole new city where you don't know anyone? All those things are really, really important to ask yourself at post-grad. And I feel like I did a bit. I feel like I kind of followed. I knew I wanted to come to New York. I feel like that decision was 100% for me, but like job wise, I definitely kind of stuck where I felt comfortable. So that's something I'm definitely working on and working through, just not always taking the comfortable route or the one that feels safe or the one that feels like most quote unquote controlled. So that's something to challenge and just, just notice in yourself and just ask yourself these questions. Really try to become in tune with yourself, because after post-grad, if you're not going to get a master's and you're not going back to school, like, that's it. Like, I mean, that's also a lesson, I think, honestly. I feel like I was coming out of post-grad and like I knew that was like the start of my adult life, but it didn't really like register. And I feel like I could still sort of be like my college self and just like, oh, everything will be fine. But now it's like, I mean, everything will be fine. Your life will be fine and you will be fine post-grad. I'm not saying it won't be fine, but all I'm saying is like now everything's in your hands. And as much as it sounds freeing and wonderful, it's extremely overwhelming and scary at times. So those would be my 2 lessons for post-grad time. The next question is, what are some daily practices to stay present? Very fitting off of the first question. The one thing that really, really always helps me feel most present is journaling. And I've talked about this. I feel like I have a whole episode on journaling and the benefits it's brought to me. It just really enables me to do one thing, stay very present, notice my thoughts, engage with my thoughts, let them have space, let them take up space, and let them take up space on the page and in my writing. And I feel like that's the major practice I have sort of built in my routine to help me remain present. I honestly wish I did a little bit more, like meditation when I do. It sometimes doesn't feel like it really helps, but I know it's always a positive and it's always a good thing. I mean, I just feel like these sound cliche, but just like going outside and not listening to music or a podcast. I've been trying to do that more recently because I feel like I just always grabbed my headphones every time I went outside and like always put on a podcast. So like there was always someone talking to me about something. But recently I have been trying to challenge that and just go out with no music and no podcasts, and I've been loving it, honestly. I feel like I've just been observing the world so much more, and I look around, I look up, I notice what people are wearing, I notice what shoes people are wearing, I notice the plants and the trees and new coffee shops and restaurants that are popping up. Like, I just really recommend that as well. And just try to be intentional and take note. Oh, that looks cool. How does that make me feel? Or I love that person's outfit, or oh, that's a new building being built. Like, I don't know. Things like that, I just feel like have been helping me stay present. Okay, this next question says, how do I resist having a strong mind and goals, but extreme laziness? So I don't know you. I don't know who asked this question. So I may be interpreting it wrong. But to me, this sounds like perfectionism. Forgive me if I'm like completely off here, but I feel like this is something I feel like I've struggled with, and I definitely do still struggle with. I feel like I have so many goals and so much drive, but then I feel quote unquote lazy, but it's not actually lazy. It's actually just paralysis of how to go about it and what goal to start, because I'm so afraid subconsciously that I don't know how to start or that I will fail, so then I don't even do it at all, and then that's what feels quote unquote lazy. But it's really just you're setting the bar so high for yourself, you're setting the expectations so high for yourself before you've even started to attempt the goal or the thing you want to do. And so your perfectionism coming in is like, oh, you're going to fail at that. You don't know how to start, so you might as well not do it at all. That is what I would say to that. Maybe just try to reframe it a little bit. Also, have kindness with yourself. Like, speaking from my personal experience, I get really hard on myself and really mean to myself when I don't get things done, or I feel like I'm slacking, or I feel like I'm behind on things. Like this week is a prime example of that. I've been so behind catching up on things, but I was away. I was vacationing. I was relaxing. So it's normal that this happens, and there's no reason to beat myself up. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just trying my best to catch up. But my perfectionism is like, you didn't do it all on time. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You're a failure. But that's just not the truth at all. So to this, I would say just really try to ask yourself where this is coming from, and if it's coming from a place of judgment on yourself for not doing certain things, maybe you really try to become just super aware of that and instead shift it to curiosity. Ask yourself, what's so hard about these goals? And why am I struggling to achieve them? Am I setting the bar too high? Am I putting expectations and pressure on myself to do it a certain way and execute it in a certain way? And if the answer is yes, then maybe try to just notice that, bring awareness to it, bring kindness and compassion to yourself, and try to set the bar lower. Just do 5 minutes instead of the whole thing, and just see where that takes you. Okay, next question says, why does high school feel like the hardest thing on earth? I just want my sanity. Girl or boy or person, I feel you. I wish I had a big sister to ask this exact question. And I wouldn't say my high school was like all bad. I honestly feel like I was just like a whole different person, but the drama is so real. I don't know. There was just so many like friend groups at my high school. I remember, I don't know if you were having the same experience, but that always caused me so much stress, because then it was like, oh, are you in this group? Are you friends with this person? Are you dating this person? And what are they going to think of you? Da da da. Like, I just was constantly consumed by what people thought of me. Still definitely something I'm working on as an adult still, but I just, at the time, I wasn't even aware that that's what was happening, and that I was sort of perpetuating this idea that I need to be concerned with what people think of me, and that what people think of me is how I base my value of myself and my self-worth, which is just not true at all. But, you know, I was young and I wasn't aware, and that's all the point of growing up. Is you grow up, you gain self-awareness, and you learn more about yourself. And so, okay, I guess main thing I would say here is it's normal, and like maybe that doesn't help. I know that sometimes doesn't help me. It's like, okay, sure, if it's normal, but like still, why is it so hard? I mean, yeah, it's completely normal. You're not crazy for thinking it's hard. It is a very interesting time of our lives. I feel like the ages of like 14, 15 to 18, you change so much. And if you're someone who's like in a 4-year high school like myself, you're in the same buildings, you're in the same classes. Well, not the same classes, but like you're with the same classmates for 4 years, and you change so much. There's so much hormonal changes as well within every single person. Your bodies physically and mentally are just going through so much, and you're trying to navigate friendships and maybe relationships and first kisses and first parties and first experiences, first time driving. Like, I'm not endorsing underage drinking, but like maybe first time drinking, like all of that. is happening in high school. And so give yourself some slack. I guess first thing I would say, and this is something I did not do in high school, but if I was a big sister and talking to my little sister, I would tell her to just try to appreciate the good moments. Don't fixate on the friend that ditched you at the party. Don't fixate on the boy who broke up with you, or the girl or the person who broke up with you. Don't fixate on the bad grades. Don't fixate on feeling embarrassed in that moment. Like all those things, one, people will completely forget about if you feel embarrassed. And actually, speaking of that, I have a very embarrassing story from high school. Oh my God, and it just came back to my memory and I have to tell you. I think I was like a sophomore or something in high school, like 15, 16. And I used to love just like getting dry Cheerios as a snack in a cup. Because your girl would get hungry between meals. Like, I don't know. Lunch wasn't enough for just like the school day. So I would get, when they would put out cereal as like a snack in like the afternoon, like it was before like our afternoon sports. And usually I'd have either dance team or lacrosse, depending on the time of year. So I'd have a little cereal snack before that. And I would put my Cheerios in a little paper cup and like bring that with me to the locker room or whatever to like snack on while I was getting ready for practice or rehearsal or whatever. And one day, oh my God, I'm like cringing at myself. But one day I filled up my little cup of dry plain Cheerios, was walking up the steps. There was like probably like 8 steps to like leave the dining hall at my high school. And I tripped over the last step, like fully missed the step, like fell, or I put my hands down. But of course, the cup of Cheerios was in one of my hands. So I put my hands down to save myself, and the Cheerios went flying all over the whole like landing at the top of the stairs of this dining hall, which is like one of the central focal points of the entire high school. So like so many people were there and could see me and just saw me trip over this step and saw my Cheerios fly everywhere, all over the ground. People are stepping on them, like crunching, and it's like going into the carpet. Oh my God. Oh, and this one guy who like, I didn't really have a crush on him, but I always like, I don't know, I felt a little nervous, whatever, around him. And he saw me and he was like, "Oh, yo, Jenny, you good?" And I was like, "Yep, I'm good." As I was like trying to like pick up the Cheerios and put them back in my cup. Oh my God. Yeah. If that has happened to you, I'm so sorry. And you are so valid in feeling that high school is hard, because it is. It's full of embarrassment. It's full of cringe. It's full of drama. It's full of all of that kind of stuff, which I'm happy to say has diminished now that I'm out of school, and for sure out of high school. I would just give yourself some grace and trust that it will get better. Trust that when everyone grows up and everyone matures a little bit more, friends are not going to be that mean. Friends are not going to be that manipulative. Friend groups and judgments, they don't last. And if they do, then those aren't the kind of people that you really want in your life. If they don't let you be yourself and they don't appreciate your authentic self. At least I made that differentiation quickly in college. I was like, I'm so done with the drama and uninviting people from parties and all of that kind of stuff and defriending people. I was in a trio friend group as well. Bruh, those are the hardest things. I mean, some of them work. Unfortunately, I am the stereotype, the cliche, the third friend that got dropped, and the other 2 then became like best friends and stayed friends. Whatever. It's fine. I made my friends in college, so I'm appreciative and love them all so much. That's a bit about my high school experience, and I hope you know that you're not alone and that it's going to get better. Just trust. Next question here says, how do you deal with hard things and how do you not beat yourself up? Still working on this, for sure. I'm just going to be so real. I beat myself up quite often, but I think just the first step is noticing it. And speaking of high school, I feel like that was, I beat myself up so much, but I didn't even notice it. I thought that was just normal internal dialogue. I thought it was normal to motivate yourself by self-hatred and like, oh, I'm gonna not like myself. I'm gonna beat myself up if I don't do this, so that's why I would do it. But now I'm learning that that has just severed my relationship with myself and the self-trust that I have. So first thing, and sounds like you're already doing it by asking this question, is just to become aware of it. Just become aware and try to notice when you're beating yourself up, when you're being hard on yourself, and maybe when that perfectionist voice is taking over and making you feel like a failure, making you feel worthless, making you feel bad about yourself. I think going back to the practices of how to stay present really, really helped me, because I feel like when I'm beating myself up, I'm kind of not really present in those moments, and I'm not really thinking rationally, I'm not really thinking calmly. I'm just sort of maybe activated and anxious, and I'm beating myself up and I'm angry. So any way that you can calm yourself down, I mean, talking about the physicalness of it as well, like tuning into the body and calming down the nervous system, will enable you to calm down the negativity and the voice in your head, maybe that's like beating yourself up, or the judgment on yourself. So any way you can calm your nervous system and just slow down, whether that means physically slowing down whatever action you're doing, like if you're doing dishes, just like slowly wash the dishes, or maybe slow down your walking pace if you're walking, or if you're scrolling, stop scrolling, or just get outside, stand outside, get some sun on your face, listen to music, read a book, journal, like any of those things, just to sort of guide yourself back to yourself into the present moment. Honestly, that can also work as just sort of like a redirection. It can redirect your attention away from beating yourself up about that thing. And if you continue to think about that thing and kind of ruminate on it, it's just going to get worse and worse. And I know that from personal experience. So any way you can sort of divert your attention and divert your brain's focus to another activity that can like bring you to the present moment. More often than not, probably the negative thought and the judgment and beating yourself up, it will pass. But it's just when we ruminate on it and we try to understand and fixate, why am I beating myself up? Why am I beating myself up? It's just going to kind of perpetuate the problem and keep you stuck in that place where you feel like you're judging yourself and beating yourself up. I know, easier said than done, for sure. And these are all things I kind of have to always remind myself. But the redirection honestly has been helping a lot, because it's just sort of like an anxious thought, and it becomes like a habit of our brains. The neural pathway has been ingrained, and so it becomes just like a natural routine. You don't do something, you feel like a failure, you beat yourself up, and the cycle continues. And so just anything to sort of like jolt that cycle from continuing. It could be, splashing your face with water, or even like holding ice cubes sometimes, just getting some sort of physical sensation to like jolt that cycle, I feel like is really, really helpful as well. And that could also be like journaling, or reading a book, or calling someone, having a conversation, getting some water, making yourself food. Like, there may be other reasons why you're beating yourself up that you aren't really consciously aware of. So just tending to your needs and trying to calm your body down in any way you can is my best piece of advice. All right, this will be the last question today. It says, how do I keep up with caring for myself? I'm a junior in high school with such big dreams, and I've accomplished a lot already, but I always lose myself in my academics. Then when I come up for air, I'm a mess. I have a problem with consistency, and all I want as a girl is just to be able to care for myself how I deserve, whether that be physically with my physical health, mentally, emotionally, and even with little things like keeping my hair washed, my skin clean, and my diet happy. So you're a junior in high school, and I will say this is something that I feel like every human at some point deals with. So again, probably not the thing you want to hear, but this is completely normal. Don't beat yourself up for this. And how do you keep up caring for yourself? I feel like for me, and this may be different for people, but for me recently, letting myself like not always keep up with caring for myself, I feel like is how I make it sustainable. Kind of going back to the point where I was talking about the perfectionism, and you aren't reaching your goals because you're setting the bar so high, you're setting the expectations so high. Like if you expect yourself every single day and night and morning to show up and do the exact same things, do the exact same skincare routine, eat the exact same foods, and you just have this bar so high that you're going to show up and take care of yourself in the same way at a high level every single day, that is unfortunately just unrealistic. And coming from someone who like fully believed it was realistic for so long, I'm now leaning into the reality that it's not realistic. Some mornings I want to do half my skincare routine and I just wash my face and moisturize. Other mornings I do the whole thing, gua sha, serums, all the things. And I just try to listen to my body, and I listen to the energy levels, and I listen to what feels good in the moment. I'm not going to force myself to sit in front of the mirror and do that whole thing, or even put on makeup. Like I don't force myself to do that, even though that is a part of self-care for me. Know that self-care can look different every single day. And I feel like it's normal for it to look different every single day, especially as women. If you're a woman, I'm not sure, but anyone who has a menstrual cycle, like you feel different throughout the month and you're going to need different things, and self-care is going to look differently. So whether it's, self-care ebbs and flows from your menstrual cycle or whether it's just your energy levels, I'm starting to lean into the idea and accept the idea that self-care looks different every single day. And so I think when I see your question, I would just say it's okay to keep up with caring for yourself in different ways every day, and don't expect yourself to care for yourself to the highest capacity every single day. And on the days where maybe you do the minimum and you don't do the whole routine, your apartment's a little messy, you're eating different foods, still give yourself credit that you're taking care of yourself. I mean, if you're feeling super, super low and it's just really, really difficult for you to take care of yourself, then I feel like, one, seek help. If that's something, I think that's something I can't give a lot of advice on. Seek professional help. See a therapist if it's just really, really difficult for you to do the daily things like shower, like get out of bed, like brush your teeth. But know that it may just also be a phase, and counting the small wins. So even if during that day, if it's really hard and you do the minimum, all you do is moisturize, brush your teeth, brush your hair, and put on some comfy clothes, count that as a win. Even though you're not doing the highest level of self-care, and there are other ways that you could care for yourself that day, but you just don't have the energy for it, know that that's okay. And that those options and those other forms of self-care are always there and will always be there. And they're going to be there when you have the capacity and the energy for it. So that's something that honestly has been helping me. Like this week, I kind of was just at a bare minimum self-care week, honestly. I barely worked out. I barely moved my body. I showered minimum as possible. I kind of just went through the motions, ate very basic foods. I let myself buy food out just for the convenience and the self-care of it, but then past weeks or maybe next week, who knows, I'll have the energy and I'll be up earlier and doing things and, going to the gym and cooking food at home. Like I just didn't have the energy for that this week, and that's okay. And a few years ago, I would have felt that that's not okay. And I would have been freaking out, and I would have been beating myself up and worrying that I'm not taking care of myself enough. But enough can change. Enough is enough all the time. And your enough is going to look different. I think just lean into that and learn to appreciate and accept that you're human and you're going to show up differently every single day. And so that means you can care for yourself every single day and give yourself permission to let how you care for yourself change and ebb and flow. I hope that was helpful. That's what I would say. And that's something that's been really, really helping me. Just setting the bar lower, not holding yourself up to super, super high expectations of self-care, and trying to limit the comparison as well. If you're someone who's maybe on Pinterest or Instagram and you're seeing all these people do all these extravagant routines and showing what their self-care forms are, try to not intake that and not consume that and not let it become a way for you to compare how you care for yourself. That's only something that you can answer for yourself. And it takes time for sure. Maybe it will take some trial and error. Maybe it'll take a week or two of trying something new, and then you realize, actually, I don't really like that. That doesn't really feel like self-care to me. So then you don't do it ever again. Just trying things out and trying to minimize the comparison as much as possible. Again, that's something I'm working on personally. So that's advice I would give on that. So thank you all so much for sending in your responses. I love having these more interactive episodes with you guys. I feel like I connect with you all. And as a quick reminder, I always have the submission link in the show notes of every single episode. So if you're ever wanting to send me a question or send me a win of the week or anything you want to share at all, I also do an Ask Jenny episode series as well, just sort of like a Q&A. I'm thinking of starting maybe doing like themed Ask Jennies, so it's like kind of more the questions are more like around a certain topic, but let me know if that would be of interest. But yeah, the submission form is always there if you just want to share something with me and share it on the podcast. Thanks again so much for being here. I hope these helped, and I hoped you felt like you were talking to a big sister today. I appreciate you all so much, and I'm sending so much love, and I'll catch you in the next episode.